Hi, my name is Emily and I'm doing another video. This time I'm going to take a slightly different approach and I'm going to talk about being familiar with autism. I have a son who's 14 years old and he's on the autistic spectrum, and we've had many appointments with doctors, we've talked to school officials, and we are very perplexed. And I started writing years ago in a blog called The Father's Love, My Son and Autism, and I was hoping at that time to learn by writing and expressing all that we are going through as a family in raising an autistic child. And it isn't an easy thing, and it not only affects the person who's struggling with the autistic issues, but it affects the whole family. And our son is now 14, he's a teenager, and he's very bright, but the problem is he's got the emotional capabilities of a 7-year-old. And he acts inappropriate, he doesn't know social protocols, and it's very difficult, and I find now more difficult than ever as he's aging, because he's in that rebellious phase, so he's becoming more and more harder to discipline and harder to rein in controlling. He's a good kid, I love my son, I would do everything I can for him. The problem is that I've also have struggles of my own. I'm transgender, as I've mentioned in the past. I'm transitioning from male to female, and it's a process. And I'm on hormone replacement therapy now for over a year, so I'm starting to take on the body shape of a woman, which I'm very thrilled about. It's taken me a while, but I'm happy now. I mean, I'm suffering also from depression. I'm not working right now and I'm on disability. Thank God I am, because it's the only way I can hopefully salvage keeping our house. I'm already behind 2 months and getting threatening letters from the mortgage company, City Mortgage, for foreclosure action, which scares me, because if that's the case then we'll have no place to go. And I have a son who I'm worried about. I'm trying to have him placed with the school district in a residence school program that will allow him to have a campus structured life where it'd be like a college almost, and the school district would pay for it, because we've exhausted most of our options and this seems to be the only other option we have. And sadly, we have seen our son deteriorate over the years, and he's not making progress. And as a loving parent, a loving father, loving trans woman, I feel for my son, and I wish I could do more for him. I just don't know sometimes what I can do, and it's very discouraging at times, because we want to do the best we can for Matty. Matty means the world to us, and my proudest moment in my life was when Matty was born, when my wife gave birth, and I was told by the nurses, "You're a father." And I was so thrilled. That was the best time in my life. And I remember looking at my son in the bassinet and saying how much I will protect him, take care of him, and see him through adulthood. God willing, of course. And I meant that day, December 8th, 1998, and I mean it today, and I mean it tomorrow and for the future, and always. I don't know how much time I have left, but I'm gonna stick by my son's side until the day I die. I love my son, and I want to help him and guide him. Right now we are having struggles. I'm going through my own personal battles. I've been transgender. I knew I was female or a girl since the age of 4, and I just came out at the age of 51. Actually, I tried to come out years ago in college when I was at Virginia Tech and at Nassau Community College also, and Hofstra, and in my 30s when I got laid off and I had some time. I was on unemployment, and I drove down to Norfolk, Virginia to a gender identity clinic, and I knew I was gonna at one point face the issue of having to transition from male to female. It hasn't been an easy road. It's been a very long and difficult road, but I'm trying and I'm hanging in there and doing the best I can. But right now, the main focus for me, now that I'm not working, I'm out on disability, and in truth, I feel much better in the sense that now I can advocate fully for my son, whereas when I was caught up in the workforce and tied to a job, I worked late hours. I didn't have any real time that was productive to help my son, and I was like not in the picture. I was out of the loop with his issues with the school. And, I couldn't even attend meetings. Or when the social worker came, our parent trainer advocate, I wouldn't be able to attend most of those meetings. On special occasions, she would make arrangements to come later to just accommodate me. But now I'm playing a more active role, and that's what I've always wanted to do. And it's just unfortunate that our work lives really prevent us from taking care of important issues such as family, raising children, and providing them with the care that they truly need. And having an autistic child is a struggle and a half. And if you're not there for your child, they're not going to grow. They're not going to make the necessary achievements that you hope. And autistic children, I was going to say transgender children, but I would say that it applies to them as well. But autistic children need a lot of support. They need a lot of guidance. They need a lot of love. And I would say the same for transgender children. I identified because as a 4-year-old I was a transgender child. And I didn't know who to speak to, nobody to reach out to. And when I grew up in the 60s, you never even admitted to being transgender. And at that point in my life, I didn't even know what the term was. Transgender I learned later in life. But I knew in my heart I was a girl. I didn't know what it meant. I didn't know the medical terminology. But I knew that I was a girl. So that's why I understand my son's struggles. He was diagnosed at 3. I knew I was transgender at the age of 4. So, though we struggle under different circumstances, I know what my son is going through. I suffered the same pain, the same isolation. I was depressed. I wanted to end my life at times, as early as the age of 16, which I had said previous in videos on YouTube. And the only thing I can say is that you have to come to an inner peace. You have to come to accept yourself. My son is struggling with his self, and in reality, he doesn't really have a good opinion of himself. He holds himself in low self-esteem, and yet he desires friends, but he goes about it in the wrong way. The way he tries to make friends is like if I'm taking him out, we go to a movie or we go to Target. He'll just approach strangers, doesn't matter what age they are, and he reaches out to them and says, "Will you be my friend?" And it's so heartbreaking. First of all, it's not socially appropriate, and I have to kind of tell Matty, I don't want to hurt his feelings, but I gotta teach him what's appropriate and what's not. And it was cute when he was a kid, like 7 or 8. But now he's 14. It's not cute anymore. And you know, it's very, very difficult to get him to understand that. And that's the issues that we face in trying to communicate with Matty. He doesn't see the world like we do. It's very different for him. And he lives in his own world. And it's so hard to reach him. The only thing that I have to say that he can do, which some autistic children don't even have that, and it's that he can speak and express himself. But he is not socially up to par for his age. He has no concept of etiquette, of how to conduct himself, how to be socially compliant, and that is very hard for him to learn. And we try to guide him and teach him how to be in those settings, and he learns it in school, and yet he still goes back to that. And I know that it's very hard for autistic children to break patterns. Once they establish a pattern, it's like a ritual with them. I mean, my son lost his innocence on September 11, 2001, and I'll tell you why. Because every day he has to constantly ask the same question just for reassurance that 9/11 really never happened. Because that's his only way to feel that there's some sense of normalcy and peace. Otherwise, if I told him the truth, he would feel very violated and that he has no freedom, no protection. And he says, what is the value and worth of life if we live in a world that's so violent? And you know, I agree 100% with him, because it is a very messed up place we live in sometimes. And the reality is that we have to fight every day of our life. We live in a world of stress and pressure. And to be honest with you, I'm on disability and I'm not working and I'm recovering. And the fact is that I need this time to recover and get the help I need, because I was severely and emotionally caught up and I was having a breakdown. And it was very difficult for me. So I feel much more at ease now as I heal, and I'm going to doctors and taking care of myself. And now for my son, I must advocate as his